For episode 10 of the Radical Godly Stewardship podcast, we are talking about multiplying still. And today we're going to talk about investing in paper assets for kingdom growth. That's right. Maybe we never put the two together, but we're going to put them together today. We're going to tackle the often misunderstood but essential topic of multiplying wealth through paper assets like stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. And in this episode, I'm going to challenge you to rethink traditional financial strategies in light of kingdom principles. And of course, there's going to be practical steps for you to be able to take, especially if you have limited resources. All right. So I'm Dr. Lexi Johnson, and this is the Radical Godly Stewardship Podcast. Hey there, welcome saving and investing. And I'm 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 1 and 2, saying that finances is not a set for giving. Hey there, welcome to the Radical Godly Stewardship Podcast, episode 10. I am your host, Lexi Johnson, international speaker, financial coach, and strategist, best-selling author, mom, wife, all the things, right? None of it really is that big of a deal. Anywho, today I'm excited because we are still talking about multiplying, which is one of my favorite parts of the whole produce, multiply, dominate thing. But I really love talking about this and helping people to understand how they can multiply their finances, right? So once you've produced it, what do you need to do to multiply it? And so over the last 3 episodes or so, that's what we've been talking about. So if you have not caught last week's episode, which was on land and property, please do so. If you have not caught the episode before that, which was on investing in people, catch that. And then the episode before that, which was on giving to the poor, right? Because in the kingdom, that's where investing starts. Giving to the poor, that's where it starts. And then investing in people at large, right? Then we get to, some of the more physical things that we are used to hearing about, like land and property, and today the paper assets that we're going to be talking about. And so as we get started, I just want to let you know I'm in a different office space today, and there it is. I was just getting ready to tell you all that the lights will probably, it's on like a sensor or something. And so because I'm not over on that side somewhere, it doesn't sense me in the office and it goes off. Okay. And so I'm going to leave it off. I'm not going to get up and try to go and put it back on. I'm just going to leave it off because I think the lighting isn't that bad without it. All right. So hope you got your notebooks, right? Your pens, your pencils, all of that gets whatever you want to write with. Hope you got your favorite healthy beverage in front of you. Let's dig in. All right. So paper assets in the kingdom, huh? Most people probably don't really put the two together, right? In fact, the world teaches us that investing in stocks and bonds is risky business. And it is, right? But can I tell you all this? There's risk in everything. I know people a lot of time, are afraid to invest in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, things of that nature because, it's risky, this, that, or the other. But can I tell you that just about anything we're doing is risky? If you really, really think about it, just stepping out of your home every day is risky. We are not guaranteed, right, to make it throughout the day, to make it to the next day. There's no guarantee, right? There is no guarantee on a lot of things. I think we have I don't want to call it an illusion, you know what I'm saying? But I think that we have, we think that we are secure in some things. Some of us think our 9 to 5s are very secure because you get a paycheck every 2 weeks or every week or whatever it is. And, that's just not the case. It's not guaranteed. Okay. So, anyway, I don't want to go off on too many rabbit trails, but what if multiplying your money through paper assets is also part of fulfilling the mandate to produce, multiply, and dominate? Right? That's Genesis 1:28. For those of you who are new to following me, you will hear me mention that likely every time. Okay, I'm on this podcast, or likely every time you see me anywhere. Right? So, is it possible to align this method of investing with kingdom principles? Or have we, as kingdom citizens, been misled into thinking that stewardship is just about giving and saving only? And you do know that there is a difference between saving and investing. I hope you know that. I'm not going to dive deep into the differences today, but basically, saving money is not multiplying money. Okay. Saving money, typically you're not getting interest on the savings, okay? And if you are, it's like very minimal. All right. Now I'm not going to dive deep into that today. That's for another time, but there's a difference. So, Ecclesiastes chapter 11 verse 2, because I always have to give you all scripture references, because of course this is the Radical Godly Stewardship podcast, right? So Ecclesiastes 11:2 says, "But divide your investments among many places, for you do not know what risks might lie ahead." Okay. So the Bible even tells us that there are risks. Okay. We are at risk of losing jobs. We are at risk of, you know, and I'm not speaking this over anybody, right? But these are things that can happen. We can um, get an illness that causes us not to be able to work, or to work as much, or there are just a whole host of things that could possibly happen. A few years ago, the entire, nation and other nations were shut down, right? Nobody would have imagined that coming. There are famines in some part of the world, or there's just a lot of things, a lot of risky things that can happen, and we need to be prepared. So the Bible advocates for diversification. This is what Ecclesiastes chapter 11 verse 2 is about: diversification. And this is one of the most foundational principles of investing, not just in paper assets, but period, right? So when I'm working with my clients, that is something I'm always talking about. It's like, yes, we want to multiply, and we want to make sure that we're not just multiplying in one place. Okay. But how often do we as kingdom citizens neglect this, and instead we put all our eggs in one basket thinking it's safer? Okay. So whether the basket is the bank, I was just having a conversation with someone over the last couple of days about they're now having this realization. They've been putting money in the bank because they were, but it's not getting them anywhere at all. They're getting a little bit older. They're not that old, they're just getting older, and they're looking at what they have been putting up in the bank and how it has not multiplied, and it will never really multiply. And they're realizing that they need to do something else. Okay. They thought it was safe to put it there in the bank, but it actually wasn't that safe. Okay. Because it's not keeping up with inflation. It's not going to uh, be able to multiply so that they have enough when they retire, so on and so forth. Okay. Some people think that all I need is my 401k. And that is a lie if you have bought into that. In fact, if you do any studying about 401k and the history of it, you will learn that the 401k, its intention was to be a supplement to whatever you're already doing privately. Okay. So the 401k, in essence, kind of replaced pensions, which were much better. than the 401k. Okay. Um, yeah, that's a whole nother rabbit trail. I don't want to go down, but so they replaced pensions, and they said as they were ushering this thing in that this was a supplemental thing. Excuse me, guys. But now you have people who are, that's all that they have. They have put all of their eggs in this one basket. And I can't tell you the countless number of people that come to me all these years of saving in their 401k, and they are now realizing that it's not going to be enough, right? And now they are 5 years from retirement, 7 years from retirement, maybe even 10 years from retirement, right? And they're trying to figure out what can they do to multiply and to speed up that multiplication process, right? So the Bible advocates for diversification. We have been talking over the last several weeks of different ways that you can invest. And so, therefore, you need to be investing across all of these things. So, I'm trying to think whether I want to get into that get into something that I'm thinking about, or to keep it moving. I will just say this. So you have different asset classes, if you will, right? You've got investing in the poor, investing in people, investing in land and property, investing in um, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. You've got investing in alternative assets. You've got investing in commodities. You've got all kinds of various different types of investing. Then within each one of those asset classes, there are various ways of diversifying within those as well. Okay. So I would encourage you to, not do this on your own, especially if you're brand new to this, that you would speak to a financial professional like myself, and get some assistance so that you're not doing things where you're making it more risky than it needs to be, meaning you're not being as calculated, you're not informed, so you don't really know how to make decisions about what to invest in, how, when, all that kind of stuff. All right. Okay. So let me get back to this. So, first of all, let's shatter some myths about investing. Can we do that? There is this common misconception that investing in paper assets, now what are paper assets? Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, etc. Okay. That investing in ETFs, okay, these are all paper assets. Many believe that investing in paper assets is gambling or simply too risky for kingdom citizens. It's something that kingdom citizens should not be involved in. Some feel like it's worldly, right? But I want to suggest this to you. Ignoring opportunities to multiply wealth through avenues like stocks and bonds can be viewed as a form of irresponsible stewardship. How can you fulfill God's command to multiply if you're sitting on the sidelines out of fear? Because that's all that is, right? These teachings that investing in the stock market and all that is not for kingdom citizens, and that it's risky or it's wasteful or this or that. And I'm not saying that it can't be risky, and I'm not even saying that it can't be wasteful. It can be if you don't know what you're doing. Okay. But with guidance, right? This is an opportunity to multiply, but you are so steeped in fear, which fear is not biblical. We know that, right? You're so steeped in fear that you won't even take a look at it. You won't even try to learn about it. You think that it's way too complicated. You haven't even looked at one sentence about learning it, right? And I'm telling you, it really is not rocket science, everyone. It's not. There are a few concepts, right? That foundational concepts that you need to know. and you kind of build on those concepts. But anyway, let me give you this scripture reference, Matthew 25:14-30. Listen, this is another one you'll probably hear me reference quite often. This is the parable of the talents. So it said, the servant who hid his talent was rebuked for not multiplying what was entrusted to him. Remember, this is the mandate: to produce, to multiply, to dominate. And we are to do that with every resource that we have, including money. So investing is not just an opportunity, but it's a responsibility. I just wanted to pause and let that sit. I'm going to say it again. Investing is not just an opportunity, it is a responsibility in the kingdom. Okay. Hiding your resources, right? Putting them in a place where you just think it's safer and it's not multiplying is just like burying them in fear, like the servant did. And Yahusha directly rebukes this. Okay. So, another misconception is that people think that you have to have tons and tons of money to be able to start investing. And that simply is not the truth. Okay. It's just not the truth. Now, if you have tons of money, great. Okay. There are some, options that you can take advantage of that maybe other people will not be able to take advantage of at that point in time in which they're in. However, again, we are all called to multiply. We are all called to produce, multiply, dominate. There is no exception to that. When you read Genesis 1:28, there is no, oh, except for those people who only make so much money, or, there are no exceptions. They're just, go read it for yourself. There are no exceptions, right? So, how can someone begin investing with a little bit of money? Well, there's something called fractional shares, right? There are platforms today that allow you to invest in stocks with as little as $1, right? Meaning you don't need to be wealthy to start. So there are a lot of I'm thinking like Robinhood. Now, some of them might be $10, it might be $5, it might be $1, but what I'm saying is it doesn't take much to start. So things like Robinhood or Stash or is Acorns one? Anyway, Cash App even has where you can invest with just $1. There are so many of those types of platforms. Now, just because I've named these platforms, please, please, please hear me, doesn't mean that I'm wholeheartedly endorsing these platforms. I'm just letting you know there's a plethora of them out there. Do your due diligence, okay? Research them and, make sure you understand how they work, okay? Um, and then make a decision on what platform or platforms you want to use. I'm just saying you don't have to have thousands of dollars. You don't even have to have hundreds of dollars to get started, okay? But if you have, if you're like, okay, I do have hundreds, then you may be able to start with some, differently. You may not have to mess with those platforms at all, or you could if you want to, right? If you've got thousands, you've got some more things that open up to you. Hundreds of thousands, you might get some more things that open up to you, okay? But what my point is, everyone can multiply. Everyone. And you got to start somewhere. All right. So fractional shares. The next are like bonds and mutual funds. And these are a little safer. They are a little more stable because nothing is completely risk-free, okay, in investing. If someone ever tells you that it is completely risk-free, run, okay? Nothing in investing is completely risk-free. So you're going to have to build up some tolerance for risk, okay? Now, you may not be like myself. I have a very high tolerance for risk. When I say I'm going to set aside a certain money and I'm going to use that to invest, I can say, look, I'm taking $3,000, $5,000, $2,000, whatever. I'm going to invest it. I know, okay, that there is risk. And the money that I am investing is not money that I need to pay my light bill, gas bill, um, you know, any essentials, right? Don't use that money, okay? You use money that is up, you know, over and above your obligations. Okay? This way, if you do lose it, right? Which happens, okay? It happens to anyone who has been investing for a long period of time. The market goes up and down. There are wins, there are losses, right? And you can learn how to mitigate the losses, but we all eventually have a loss, right? It happens. But now you won't be as, torn up about it or whatever, because this was money that you had set aside for that. You knew you were well informed, you knew the risks, all of that. It's not bothering your essentials, all of those things, right? So anyway, back to what I was saying. Bonds, mutual funds, these are less risky, a little bit more stable, right? To grow your wealth consistently. Investing in indexes like the S&P, right? Um, you can also there are some alternatives that you can use that may even be a little bit more safer than mutual funds, which is like you can use an IUL as a tool of investing. What is an IUL? Indexed Universal Life Insurance Policy. It is technically not an investment, but it can be used as an investment. That's a whole nother thing we can talk about another time. But what I'm saying is there are a lot of options out there. Mutual funds are a way where you can pool your money with other investors. So if a particular share, now I'm making some things up, these numbers are not real, but let's say you wanted to invest in Tesla and one share of Tesla is like $5,000. And you're like, I don't have $5,000 for one share, right? You can invest in a mutual fund. So a mutual fund has about 30 to 100 different companies within that fund. You are pooling your investments with other people. So you can, if you're investing $100 a month across these different companies within that mutual fund, and you have the ability to do so because your money's pooled with other people's money. Okay. All right. Then you have things like a Roth IRA. Okay. Roth IRA has a lot of tax advantages. I have done a couple of videos on Roth IRAs, traditional IRAs, things of that nature, and the advantages, disadvantages, all of that. Self-directed IRAs. There's so many different kinds of IRAs that you can get into, but the Roth IRA has tax advantages, right? And it offers opportunities for your investments to grow tax-free, um, compounding, your returns, right? And again, anytime you invest, before you invest, you should have an objective, you should have a goal, you should know how this fits into your overall financial plan. If you don't have an overall financial plan, you should have that first, okay? Have the plan, then you can determine, all right, what strategies am I going to use in investing to get there? What types of investments? All of those things. That's again another discussion for another day. Okay. But bonds and mutual funds are another way in which you can start with smaller amounts of money, even the Roth IRA. So there's some places where you can do $25 a month, somewhere you can do $50 a month, just depending upon the agency that you go through. All right. Proverbs 13:11 says, wealth from get rich quick schemes quickly disappears. Wealth from hard work grows over time. So, growing wealth, everyone, this is not about quick returns. Okay. Growing wealth through paper assets, it isn't about quick returns. It's about the patient, consistent stewardship. Consistent. So whether the market is up, whether it's down, we will talk another time about why there are advantages to investing when the market is up and when the market is down. We'll talk about that another time. Okay. So I now want to talk about the risk of doing nothing. Then I want to give you some practical tips and get on out of here. Doing nothing with your money is much more risky or riskier, whatever the proper grammar is there, than investing it wisely, right? Inflation, economic shifts, emergencies, that will all erode your savings. Remember, I was talking about a person that I've been talking to over the last couple of days and how they are just realizing the bank isn't it because this is what's happening. Inflation, economic shifts, emergencies, that all eats away at your savings and it's not keeping up. Okay. So doing nothing is a lot more riskier. Luke 19:23 says, and this is the parable of the minas. Why didn't you deposit my money in the bank? At least I could have gotten some interest on it. So yeah, Yahusha here is explicitly mentioning the importance of at least earning interest, right? Implying that making money work is not just a worldly concept, but it is also a kingdom principle. Okay. So if your money is in the bank, you're not quite ready to, invest just yet. The least you can do is put it in a high yield savings account versus a regular savings account. That's the least you can do. Okay. Now let's give you some practical tips. Number one, start where you are. Even if you have limited funds, consider starting small. Consistency is more important than the amount. Okay. Set aside just $25 a month, okay, to invest in some type of diversified mutual fund. Okay. Educate yourself. Number two, okay, so start where you are. Number two, educate yourself. Seek wisdom, okay, not just knowledge, but also wisdom. Don't rely solely on the world systems for advice. If don't rely solely on it. Learn how these paper assets work through a biblical lens. Okay. Proverbs chapter 24, 3-4 says, a house is built by wisdom and becomes strong through good sense. Through knowledge, its rooms are filled with all sorts of precious riches and valuables. Okay. Wisdom and understanding are the foundation of successful investing. Okay. So learn about it. Okay. You don't have to become a super expert in it like a financial professional, but you can learn the foundational stuff, right? And then diversification. Practical tip number 3. Just as the Bible encourages us to spread our resources, okay, we need to do that with our investments. So you never take all of your money and put it in one mutual fund, one stock. No, we diversify, right? All right. Investing isn't just about personal gain. It's about creating more opportunities to advance the kingdom. Okay. Again, what is your overall objective? Yes, you want to sustain your family, but also what are you doing for the kingdom of God? So, whether you're using your returns to support missions, fund charitable causes, invest in people, feed the poor, whatever, your wealth should have a purpose beyond yourself. As your investments grow, consider how the kingdom will benefit from your financial increase. All right. When done with kingdom principles, investing in paper assets is not a tool for personal wealth building, but for advancing God's kingdom agenda. That's what it's all about, not about us, people. We have to shift from thinking of investing as worldly to seeing it as a way to multiply God's resources. The risk isn't in investing, it's in not acting when God calls you to multiply what He's entrusted to you. So, this week, here's my challenge. Take a practical step. If you're not investing, open an account. Start with a small amount, dollar, $5, $10, right? If you already are, review your portfolio and ask yourself how it aligns with kingdom principles. Share your progress with others to inspire kingdom growth. And the last thing I'm going to say, if you have not gotten your free Stop Begging God for Money guide yet, click on the link. Okay. It's in the description. Get the complimentary guide, 7 practical steps for radical godly stewardship, which investing is part of, right? Make sure that you grab that and then share the link with someone else. All right. So that's all for us today. I thank you for tuning in. And until we meet next time, get out there, keep producing, keep multiplying, keep dominating.